So before we actually enter into the Vakyartha Sadhas itself, I'd like to introduce the rest of the panel who are accompanying me here today for the Vakyartha Sadhas. Along with myself, Srinitya Mangalananda Maharaj. We also have Srinitya Ashutoshananda joining us from Montreal, Canada. We also have Mulyaya joining us from Chennai, India. Thank you both so much for coming today and being a part of the Vakyartha. So, before we continue, let's all go ahead and introduce ourselves. My name is Srinitya Mangalananda Maharaj, and I'm a Balsant of the Nithyananda Gurukul. Prior to coming to the Nithyananda Gurukul in 2012, I was born and brought up in United States. So a little bit about my past and my upbringing. So being born and brought up in the United States, it a lot of what my character is right now has I can say a major thing to do with my father, and so I see my father. He stepped different out from my mom and from any all the other adults I had met in my life at the time. And what was the main thing which stood out and which differentiated him from the rest of the crowd was his unabashedly stand towards protecting Sanatana Hindu Dharma. And at first, I used to feel highly embarrassed by it. And I would ask myself, why are you doing this? Why can't you just stop and at least not do it when I'm around? And I really used to feel highly embarrassed by it. This is something only he would do, and even my mother wasn't such an open advocate towards protecting Hinduism, protecting the legitimacy of Hinduism. But my father was my father, and I highly appreciate him for doing what he did at that time. Because now, when Swamiji says why reviving Hinduism is needed, so many things. Actually, a lot of clarifications had happened only after I met Swamiji. Though whatever knowledge and whatever I had heard from my father and from his peers prior to coming to Gurukul, I had complete clarity and I understood many things. It was like I had a half-baked puzzle, and only after Swamiji came into my life, he fit the rest of the pieces for me. So this is about me and where I'm coming from. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here, be a part of the Vakya Sadhas. Srinitya Ashutoshananda, you can go ahead and introduce yourself for the rest of our panel, for the rest of our audience. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Maharaj. My name is Srinitya Ashtoshananda. I was born as a French Canadian in Montreal, Canada, and studied a little bit of business and finance. I also studied mechanical engineering. Had childhood very physically active, and I went to live abroad for 2 years, and then living abroad expanded my understanding about myself and life and made me realize the patterns in which I was stuck, the loops in which I was stuck, the vicious circles in which I was stuck. And that kind of awakened seeking within me. And that seeking made me listen to various masters and of India. And one thing leading to another, I met Swamiji. I went to the Inner Awakening program in 2014 in Varanasi, a 21-day retreat where I had major breakthroughs in my life, huge changes. And after that, Swamiji blessed me with the initiation of Karama Brahmacharya, and I've been with the Sangha and Swamiji since then. It's been a tremendously fulfilling journey, and looking forward for today's Vakyartha Sadhas and today's topic. Thank you for having me in the panel, Nithyananda.
Yes, thank you so much, Ashutosha, for coming today, being a part of today's Vakya Sadhas. Next, Murliaya, you can go ahead and introduce yourself for our audience. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Maharaj. This is Murali from Chennai. I have been with Swamiji from 2013, and I first came to him for an inner awakening program. This inner awakening is actually a 21-day meditation retreat which Swamiji used to conduct back to back in those days, and that was a real life opener, not even just eye opener for me, because I used to back then pride myself as a very intellectual, logical person, and I used to consider myself as a very smart, very biasless judge about any situation and any person, and I can do this in a very short time when coming into contact with it, is what I used to feel. But then something somewhere was lacking because I was not able to progress in my career, and my career means a lot to me, meant a lot to me also, and I was not able to proceed. It's after coming to Swamiji I realized that my logic, human logic, is very very shallow and narrow a context for making this happen, for judging anything to happen. So during the program, a lot of my blind spots got exposed. A lot of clicks have happened, and a lot of physical, tangible miracles have happened. And it really left me thrilled and left me to attach to myself to Swamiji a good deal. And it has been a very rewarding journey, very pleasant and sweet experience with him in life from then on. Now Swamiji is a part of my life so uh, mm, intensely that I'm not able to imagine what I would be without him, where I would have been without him. So let me share some miracles or clicks that have happened as part of the other sessions rather than talking now itself. As of now, thank you for the mic time.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you so much for being a part of the Vakyartha Sadhas today. We also have Sri Rajananda Maharaj joining us from Adi Kailasa Sri Nithyananda Paramashiva Devasthana. Rajananda Maharaj, please go ahead and introduce yourself for all our viewers. Please go ahead.
Nithyananda. Thank you, Maharaj. My name is Sri Rajananda. I met Swamiji earlier in my life when I was just about 12 years old. Before that, my upbringing was in America, but in a very traditional setting of Hinduism in my life. Regular puja was a part of my life every day, as far as and weekly getting together and doing Sankirtana and doing rituals in a grand way or in a small way. It was a regular part of my life from what I remember. And socially, it wasn't a big part of what I have. I was just a 12-year-old boy, but it was only after meeting Swamiji that I realized how what I have been brought up with is actually something that I can look forward to and so see myself in for the rest of my life. Only Swamiji was able to bring out this. As a kid, I would think that he made Hinduism cool. He made it look sound and feel like something that I wanted to be a part of. That it gave more meaning to what I was doing. Yes, I also had a sense of feeling that whatever I was doing, didn't have meaning. Whether it was bhajana or whether it's puja or learning Sanskrit, whatever it was, I didn't um, attach any sentiment to it. Only after Swamiji came into my life, things became more meaningful, and as Swamiji is creating Kailasa, reviving the enlightenment-based ecosystem. It was an ecosystem that I had fortunately brought up with, but it is only Swamiji who introduced it as enlightenment-based, and very grateful. And after that, we came part of Swamiji's Sangha and had fortune to grow up with the temple atmosphere. More than half my life in this atmosphere. So thank you for having me today. I'm looking forward to today's discussion. Thank you, Nithyananda.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for coming today, being a part of the Vakyartha Sadhas. So, coming back to the topic, why is social legitimacy important for Hindus and Hinduism more than anything else? How can social legitimacy be brought for Hinduism in all parts of the world? So, why I think social legitimacy is important more than anything else? It's like this example Swamiji had given the other day in Satsang. So, having political legitimacy or the legitimacy of any of the other factors, religious legitimacy, spiritual legitimacy, but not having social legitimacy is pretty similar to the phrase of saying operation success but patient has died. So unless people are there who is going to practice this religion, people are there who wants to live this lifestyle, it is not going to be useful for anyone in any way. Having political legitimacy, having the spiritual and religious legitimacy. Of course, the Nithyananda Sangha is there, and there are all smart, bits and pieces here and there where Hinduism is going to be practiced, and we're already practicing it, and the Kailasa nation is being established for their sake. But we are not reviving the Kailasa nation just for us to practice and for us to have a peaceful life. We are reviving the Kailasa nation for the whole world. It is important for the whole world to understand why Hinduism is the only direction to turn for the future, and it is mainly for that sake Kailasa is being built. So how can social legitimacy be brought for Hinduism in all parts of the world? Honestly, I do not have a complete answer for that yet. I am still thinking about it. Social legitimacy is very important, and it is something that people need to be made. People need to be made to understand why it is important. No one sat and took a class or gave a course on why having a cell phone is important. Everyone, the moment the cell phone hit the market, people started understanding it's important, and then it just became a global thing. The same way, people, we need to give the correct understanding to people. Why is Hinduism important? Why is Hinduism as important as your cell phone or your laptop, something which you use as an everyday object? So Hinduism is equivalent to that. We need to make people understand that Hinduism is not something which is supposed to be taken just for the sake of solving world peace or putting an end to global warming. It is something you need to even get you up out of the morning if you're feeling difficult and lazy. To get you up out of the bed every morning, you need Hinduism. So to that level of depth, we need to sit and we need to do the hard work of giving the whole world that importance and sharing them how Hinduism is so beneficial in that way. And it is only if they decide to adapt Hinduism in the lifestyle, they will be able to have a happy, blissful future on this planet. So this is my initial take on this question. Raja Maharaj, you can pick up from here. Please go ahead.
Yes, Maharaj, thank you. Actually, you had given a good point about how cell phones are updated and cell phones are used. We didn't have a manual to use them, but everybody started using them. Actually, that made me think and understand that actually Hinduism is also that kind of a device that can be used to for someone in their life to make their life better in all aspects. Whether, as you said, Maharaj, the routine in the morning, or whether it is to cognize how the world works, or even to use it as a way to communicate with others. I use it to as a way to express your passion, express art, express your connection with God. It is not Hinduism is not just a religion that talks about your relationship with God and things with God. It has to dictate every part of somebody's life, whether it is their health, whether it's their finances, their relationship with wealth, what is their relationships with others. Every part of life is organized inside Hinduism. It's very all encompassing, and as Swamiji is beautifully bringing it out. And as commonly, actually, I've heard many people say that the word that Hinduism is a what do you call the word uh, is a way of life. They'll say. Um, then it is Swamiji who's taking that and expanding it more and saying that it is not just a way of life, it is not just a religion, it is a greater science. And this kind of a conversation, having it with people and having it amongst the world, is kind of difficult to have, especially when people come from a secular point of view in the world. When they're only going, they're not going to talk to you about Hinduism because they will categorize it. It doesn't categorize it as only one part of somebody's life, as a religion. But for you and for us in Sangha, it's not a religion. It's a very much a way of life and the greatest science. But for somebody, when you're trying to have a social in a social setting, have a discussion about Hinduism, they very much think that you are trying to be preachy and you're trying to be very much only religious about it. But it's not like that. It's about a way of life. It's just everything that you are is that. So one way I thought that we could make the whole world understand, at least the whole Hindus understand about the importance of social legitimacy of Hinduism, is by actually doing the work of Kailasa. by informing them that, okay, we are Hindus, but the sacred sentiments that we have grown up with and had in our lives, and cherished, that Hinduism has given us, whether it is the temples, whether it is the deities, whether it is just some Vedantic ideas, whether it is the great saints of Hinduism, or whether it is the beautiful temples, whatever, all these aspects, whatever those that we held sacred to us, that made us feel pride or made us feel spiritually there is something important about my religion, about Hinduism, those things, only when people realize that those things and the importance of these things are going to go away at the space at which the world is moving away from Hinduism, or away from these ideas, only when people realize that all that was good in their lives from Hinduism is actually on the verge of being taken away, or on the verge of becoming redundant. All the goodness that you had gotten from your religion, all the good sentiments that you have gotten from Hinduism, would be are now going to be taken away, or going to be impossible for you. People then only will be able to realize the need and the importance of Kailasa. But to prepare ourselves for that, we can definitely, we cannot, we know that that day may come when many more Hindus will realize the importance of Kailasa in our lives, but in the world, because it is the seed bank of the religion, keeping all the traditions and the sentiments alive. The best way we can do right now is to know and plan to accommodate them when they realize so. And when they realize that their sentiments are important, their temples are important, and when the temples are taken away, then maybe in that time they can realize that Kailasha was actually a good idea. And we just have to support that. When they realize that, when they come to, in a social, even in a social context, understand that, then we'll be able to accommodate and give them space, place, and freedom to celebrate those good things and those sentiments that they grew up with. So this is one point I wanted to add about really how my internal thoughts about how uh, social legitimacy can happen for Kailasa, for Hinduism. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Raja Maharaj, for your initial take on this question. Sniti Ashutoshananda, you can go ahead. Please take the stage.
Yes, thank you, Maharaj. My initial take on this, I see it as Swamiji says that the outer world is a reflection of your inner space. So I see that social legitimacy is important. It is very much important, and I see social legitimacy as the manifestation of the completion, which is there in the inner space of each one of us as Hindus. I feel that Hinduism is a very flamboyant tradition, meaning that it is very expressive in the way that we are. So naturally, wearing kumkum, vibhuti, and sundaravadam and malas and so many things are being displayed in Hinduism. So because of this way of displaying our tradition, I feel that deep down within, we feel that the external world is hostile, and that is why we are, and that is why we decide to stop wearing these symbols. And I feel that one thing that really needs to happen for each one of us as Hindus is to have that completion, not to be terrorized by the way we think the external world is going to us if we present ourselves in the way that we are. As Swamiji is sharing in the Satsang, don't allow yourself to be to have fears and to be terrorized. And when that completion happens, you radiate the energy of Mahadurga. So I really feel this is what happens when we will no longer feel terrorized about expressing ourselves as we are. naturally the social legitimacy is going to be manifested. So I see it as a two thing: working externally to get social legitimacy more and more, and simultaneously doing the completion with this fear of this feeling of hostility or enmity of the external environment towards Hindus. So that's one of the first things I'd like to share for this Vakyartha Sadhas. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Ashitosha. Murliya, please go ahead.
Thank you, Maharaj. I think I should second what Ashutosh Nanda had said. If we actually, on a personal level, practice Hinduism unabashedly, I think that will, when every individual starts practicing Hinduism unabashedly, that itself will have a huge impact on the non-practicing people or the non-Hindu people, and they will have to come to accept us, because when we wear vibhuti or when we wear a sacred thread around our neck or our wrist, it doesn't actually affect others in any way, any others. It is purely personal. So they will have to accept it, and we will have a moral courage and a legal courage on our side to demand, what is this, what harm is this doing to you? It's only because every person individually feels somewhat ashamed or embarrassed to wear these Hindu marks on themselves. I think there's non-Hindu elements or anti-Hindu elements, even what they become emboldened to dominate us and actually want to wipe out the very idea of Hinduism from the human consciousness. So these little things will go a long way in actually protecting Sanatana. I mean, it will actually create a good foundation for Hinduism to be practiced in a very big way in more dimensions of life. Yeah, so that's what I want to say initially. Let me elaborate in another instance. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Murliya. So actually there is something here which I wanted to add upon. Rajananda had made a statement saying that the best way what we can do right now is supporting Kailasa to prepare ourselves to receive everyone when they understand that Hinduism is the higher science. Hinduism is the only way of moving forward with life. But it is here. There's something which which is I have a little bit of a conflict. I think it is the same attitude which we have been carrying for pretty much quite some while now, where we are okay with letting life happen at its own speed and saying, okay, when it happens, that time we'll prepare for it, or let's do whatever we can now to prepare for it, rather than going head on first, grabbing the bull by its horns and going out and openly, unabashedly living Hinduism, as Swamiji himself said. See, in our lifestyle, we unabashedly live Hindu. We wear the chata, we wear the kumkum, vibhuti, the Rudraksha mala, and all that. That is itself making a statement to our stance in Hinduism and giving confidence to other Hindus why that they can also live like this. There is no doubt, helping towards achieving the goal of social legitimacy. But this isn't going to be the only way in which, if you're trying to save the world, if Swamiji is saying that Kailasa is the only solution for the future of humanity, not just for the future of Hindus, then that is a very big statement to make, saying that Hinduism is the future, and without Hinduism, we are not going to have a place to exist in the upcoming, within the next few decades. So at that speed, when Swamiji is making such a statement, we should be running in equivalent speed. We should be running out and openly start making people understand, coming up with creative different ways which would, rather than feel as like we should not also look at the same way as something who we are trying to force our religion upon someone else. We are trying to help another person basically, and fundamentally whether they choose to become a Hindu or not is completely up to them, but it is a way of lifestyle which is very important. And I feel that apart from preparing ourselves to receive everyone when they decide to choose Hinduism as their way of living, we should also openly go out and find creative ways where we can enrich people and make the whole world understand why living Hinduism is something which they need to do. Why from waking up in the morning, from how to handle your kids when they throw tantrums, or how to handle teenagers especially, how to handle problems which they are facing in the professional life, how to handle the problems which they are facing in personal life, giving these solutions to people, making them understand how Hinduism has answers for pretty much all the problems you may face. This is something which we should actively be doing, and not just sitting back and taking a passive role in preparing ourselves for for when the rest of for when and if the rest of the world decides to turn to Hinduism. Unless we show them the way, how are they going to turn to Hinduism?
Yes. Adding to this, I'd like to add one thing, another insight regarding the dimension when you mentioned, Maharaj, time is taking its own course and all that, and we are not taking the bull by its horns. I feel one of the main thing which Swamiji is giving us is he's constantly reminding us that of Paramashivoham, or even recently Mahakalabairavoham. I am Paramashiva, I am Kalabhairava. And one of the clicks which is associated to that from here is that Swamiji says, life happens, but if you're aware, you can consciously intervene. So that conscious intervention dimension, I feel, is what us as Hindus, especially initiated by Swamiji, should really look into, how we can consciously intervene and quicken the process of time, the process of, the flow of karma. I believe that's what it is. The space of Paramashivoham, Mahakalabairavoham means we can constantly, consciously intervene and make the process faster, smoother, and at the same time, get prepared and strengthen ourselves in order to receive more and more people, enrich more and more people, and basically cause the reality of more and more people. So that's one thing I wanted to add upon this dimension which Mangala Maharaj shared.
Nithyanam, yes, Maharaj. Actually, the basic signature that Hinduism is being revived now. Yes, the speed at which Swamiji is moving is fast, but one of this is very fast. But it has, and it's decorated well. It's decorated with jatas. It's decorated with rudraksha, and a yogic body and kumkum and bhasma. But it is not just a decoration that is going to give people the impact that Hinduism is. It is, you may say, it is not. I'll say it is not just a decoration. It's the very context with which we make people feel the moment they see us. What do people see when they see Swamiji? They see a man smiling intensely, causelessly. There is no purpose to it, and they wonder why he's smiling. Why is he so blissful? Why is it that he's not just expressing this much bliss, even just seeing me? This is the actual Nithyananda that is what really moved the world when Swamiji traveled in his world tours. It was simply that smile and the space that he gave people and accommodated people around him that gave that confidence in people that there is someone here that is out to give enlightenment to the world, not just preach his religion or preach his but he is there for people. And I think if you can take it as a decoration, but one of the biggest things that we need to give as Hindus, giving to the world, is what Swamiji is actually reviving. The first thing that he does and the first thing he says to anybody is be blissful. And now, how do you say that to people without giving them a huge smile and giving them that assurance, that confidence to be blissful, that courage to be blissful, No matter what you're having in your life, no matter what you're facing in your life, that Paramashivoham or Hinduism was something deeper and something more profound as an experience that really gave people a new way, a new confidence, a new hope, a new charisma to the whole religion. And that is what the Shankaracharya did when he came. And when Swamiji is coming, he is giving the world himself. And in that, he has given Nithyananda, the one who is in eternal bliss, the one who is constantly radiating causeless happiness. I think what we really need to look in now, as we are reviving Hinduism and deciding to be making it socially legitimate, is we are following the model of the one who is leading us, who is Swamiji. And he is he is the best example to how Hinduism can be revived, because he is leading it with pure causeless bliss. And unless we can rekindle that every time we see somebody and remember him, why do we chant Sadguru Vandaram? Why do we do all this? Because we remember him and that Nithyananda, that bliss. So rekindle that. So just I wanted to add that it's not just a decoration, and of course we have to be complete with it and not be terrified by it, but it's not just a decoration. It is the very space that Swamiji gives people and gave us when we met him. That is what we need to accommodate, and that is what we need to show socially. I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Also, I wanted to add that yes, that is the biggest thing and of most importance. When Swamiji, when you come in front of Swamiji, Swamiji relates to you. He relates to your being directly, and he gives you that space where you feel that somebody is actually there to cause your reality. He gives you that experience. He gives you that atmosphere, that ambiance, which awakens tremendous trust and courage within the being, and that only powerful cognitions, being established in powerful cognitions, allows that space to manifest. So Swamiji is the embodiment of that, and he has is initiating us into that constantly, and really grasping that space and radiating that space is of utmost importance. So yes, that is a very, very strong point.
See, how can we add, how can we bring social legitimacy to Hinduism all across the world? I will suggest this. There are many schools which are actually Hindu, to say. Means they are run by some mutts, like my school, some Hindu mutts, Hindu samajas. What these schools, at least, if not everybody and those who call themselves secular, what these schools can do is actually observe more Hindu festival occasions. They need not actually grant a holiday, but they can declare that this is the occasion for the day. And some discourse regarding that occasion can be given in front of the students, and they be made to know that. Some social science teacher or a moral science teacher, somebody, or any teacher, or even students can be encouraged to come and talk about that occasion, what they do and how they celebrate that occasion. And all students can be actually encouraged to wear their ethnic identity on themselves. In fact, school uniform itself can be changed to what we wear today, like a shirt and pant for boys and skirts for girls, to half sari and all that as a school uniform itself. And they can be made to talk more and more about spiritual matters in the course of their school life itself. This actually will turn many heads, is what I believe. So this is one way in which we can bring social legitimacy. We are not harming anyone. We are not going against any board rules about how to run the school by doing these changes. Like I don't think any board restricts how one must, what uniform a school must have, or what festivals must be observed. Only the number of holidays may be restricted on a legal front because we are a multi-ethnic country. There may be restriction on the number of holidays in any academic year. But there is no restriction on what festivals and what occasions need to be observed and what need to be talked about that in the school. If this happens and we actually encourage the younger generation to go through all this, made to know about all these things, and the parents also are allowed to talk about all these things, then the values will slowly start growing, and the experience will start happening, and the inclination towards these things will actually happen. See, in one of the schools where I had worked part-time, there I saw the principal actually tugging at the wristband, that what we call as nombukai, that she tugged at that, and she tugged rudely at that and saying, you are talking against your teacher even after wearing this. And she was looking at me for approval. I looked the other way, like I couldn't speak anything there. It was a Christian-based institution, and I couldn't speak anything there because I was a part-timer, and I had just joined then. Had I been a full-timer or I had been with them for a longer time, I would have voiced to some extent at least, why do you want to bring in religion further? I wanted to say this. It is not as though their religion people don't ever make any mistakes, and only these Hindu people make mistakes. Talking against the teacher or coming late to class, not doing homework, is committed by any student. It is a laziness or inauthenticity of student. It's a student mindset. It's nothing to do with religion. But why is she bringing in that? And this is not the way to see. This is the reason why we are actually. These are the little ways in which we feel embarrassed to wear our ethnic marks in the so-called secular place or a so-called common place. There are some schools which actually prohibit wearing bindis or any ethnic wear at all, saying that this is not the place to do it. I don't understand why. Why is showing one's ethnic identity any wrong? Why should that be wrong at all? So if we wear these ethnic marks on ourselves when we actually go to school or to a place of work, that itself will at least go a long way in creating, reviving, and sustaining the respect for all these things. So I think schools, colleges, and even office, even corporate houses, I think business units should allow people to wear their ethnic marks on themselves. The only problem arises is when, as far as I can understand, is imposing it on others, expecting the people around you to wear the same mark as you do. If you wear your mark but you go about your work, then there's no problem at all. This is one. The another dimension is, I will say, like anybody, if we visit a place of worship, let us all actually have a kind of dress code. In that sense, actually, Swamiji had started this thing even at the very beginning. He wanted us all wear only white. We should all be in white sari, white, everything white, completely white. So that's a good thing. See, even in my school, when we actually had the Havan, we used to conduct Havan every Saturday, or at least every first Saturday of the month. And during that Havan time, we were all in white. The whole school will be dressed in white. So it was like that. So we can have some sort of dress code, and this need not be imposed by any legal framework. We can have our own discipline. When we visit a temple, it has got its own respect and it has got its own decorum, which we'll never compromise on. That sort of way of thinking we must all develop. So this is the way we can bring in some social legitimacy, and again, by doing all these things, we are not going against any laws of the land or laws of the workplace or rules of the place of study or whatever it is. So we should actually name the occasion each day. See, if we listen to the horoscope forecast by various astrologers as of today, they actually name some occasion. See, Nithya Utsava is what we chant during the Sankalpa Mantra. Means what Hinduism is eternally celebrating. We have some occasion or the other every single day. For 365 days a year, we have something to name for easily for 200 days at least. So if we name these occasions every single day and relate its significance, I explain its significance and how we actually observe this. Like, let it be even preparing one small, as simple as preparing a payasam at home. It need not be a grand festival. It need not be the grand festivity, but remembering that this is the occasion for today, and this is the significance behind it. This is the historical event that made us start observing this festivity, this occasion. This itself will instill a good amount of good intensity of spiritual quotient in all of us, and it will build a good foundation for establishing and appreciating Kailasa, because Kailasa is the ultimate benchmark which Swamiji wants to reveal. But even to relate to that, this is, I think, what I just suggested is the small stepping stone towards realizing what that means, why it needs to be revived. Because Kailasa is Hinduism in its entirety, in its largest dimension. But on the social front, this is what I think we can do, and this need not. And I'm trying to be as contextual as possible, because I'm trying to say something which we can do within the present kind of anti-Hindu elements around and the legal framework. This is what we can do without disturbing others, or expecting any cooperation from those in power. That's a very vital point. I want to underline that. Without any so-called cooperation from the people in power, these are the little things which we can start observing in our lives, so that we will see Hinduism getting practiced, and it will. And this itself, when we practice this much, this itself will be glory. It will be a glory by itself, and we can. It will gain respect from even the non-practicing elements or those anti. Because see, I will say that a very vast majority, a very significant majority of the anti-Hindu elements today is because of the narrative of the other part of the anti-Hindu people who misrepresent Hinduism. If Hinduism is represented properly, a vast majority will come to realize that they are anti these people for nothing. They are going about their business. They are just enjoying and being blissful by themselves. So why should we disturb them? Is what many people will come to. Is what I'm really strongly hoping for, and we'll see. I'm envisioning things happening. So this is the way I think we can bring in social legitimacy. Let me elaborate in answer to further questions or any responses. Thank you.
Yes, I have. So fundamentally, if you want to have a strong building, if you want to build the world's largest, tallest building, then your foundation needs to be really deep. And only if you have a deep foundation, even if you decide to build on top of the building and make the building even more stronger, it will be possible. But with a weak foundation, even the first building which you would have wanted to make would not be possible. Fundamentally, if the roots are strong, only then anything can happen. Only if you know the basics of math, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, only then it's possible to learn the higher level things in math, even as like geometry, algebra, and so on. But for that, fundamentals is very much required. It's more or less the same thing in Hinduism as well. Only if the fundamentals are clear, then whatever it may be, whatever aspect it may be regarding Hinduism, many of the times even we, for certain things, we do not know the context of why it's prescribed in a certain way. Even I don't know the context for something which I still do in my everyday life. I still don't have I don't know the exact context why it is mentioned in our scriptures, but why do they ask us to do certain things? But my foundation of Hinduism is strong. Fundamentally, Swamiji has given me the understanding that whatever may happen in Hinduism is only like another mother, another father to you. You trust them completely, wholeheartedly. It's not every time that they'll be explaining to you why you should eat this kind of food, why you should eat this kind of food. Anything your mother puts in your plate, whether you like it or not, you know it's healthy for you. So Hinduism is more or less the mother of all of us. Whatever they ask us to do, when we have the cognition that Hinduism is just a parent, someone who's trying to give us the perfect growth in life, when we come to that understanding, then it isn't a matter of context. There's so many things. There are almost more than 1,000 things you do in a single day. Are you going to be sitting and finding a context for each and every single one of those things? Is that even possible? I don't even know whether that's possible, but for some people, if that is what you're going to do, then great. But at least for me and for the people I know, that is not possible. Sitting and giving a context for each and everything which you're going to do in your life, it's simply not possible. And who has the time for that anyway? But understanding, getting this cognition from Swamiji, that allowing Swamiji to give you this cognition that whatever happens in Hinduism, it is nothing but your mother keeping food on your plate every day. She may keep one day chapati, she may keep one day dosa, she may keep one day only mucus diet. She won't give you anything else. But you know that whatever she gives you, it is for your health, and she is looking out for you. You can close your eyes and let her take the wheel. So when we all fundamentally have that context that Hinduism is our mother, and whatever they may do, whether we like it or not, it is ultimately in our better interest to follow it, to wholeheartedly trust it. There's no question of insecurity in that case. You do not doubt what is being asked of you. Do you doubt the intentions of your mother or your father? You don't. That is the sense of security. That is the space of security which they have provided. Having that cognition that even Hinduism is your mother, is your father, is fundamentally what we need to do. And Swamiji is beautifully doing that through the Paramashivam program and through his Bhava Samadhi Darshans, relating to people and giving them the cognition that Hinduism isn't something which is so far away. Hinduism is closer to you than the jewelry you're wearing, than the vibhuti and kumkum you're putting, than the makeup that you wear every day. For more information about the Paramashivam program, you can visit nithyananda.paramashivam.org. Let's now watch a small video about the Paramashivam program. Please stay tuned.
The time is right. The world is ready. You are going to experience literally Paramashiva. Most powerful, intangible but definitive, intense processes. This is the most powerful spiritual nuclear explosion, the strong force of Kailasa landing on planet Earth directly. One thing I can be sure, you will not exist end of the program. I can guarantee that. Only Paramashiva.
Yes, we're back. So I think we've come to the end of today's Vakyartha Sadhas. We have a few more minutes left. So why don't we all share our conclusion statements or the final cognition which we are taking away from today's Vakyartha Sadhas. we can start off with Ashutosha. Ashutosha, please go ahead. What is your final takeaway from today's Vakyartha Sadhas?
Yes. The main cognitive cognition about the social legitimacy is related to what Raja and the Maharaj started to share. And it's really like, instead of going and trying to, I feel like instead of just pushing our agenda forward and trying to find our place where we are allowed to live as we are, if we just start to intensely care for people and contribute to people, people will have a totally different space towards Hinduism and the way we are and everything. So I really feel that people should feel like what Mangala Maharaj was also mentioning, like when you start to realize that it's mother, you don't have this constant fear about it all the time, this constant questioning and doubt. So I feel like if you start to really hold the space and cause others reality and be there for others, people will really cherish your presence in their life, and they will give you the space for you to be Hindu. That space will just start to happen, and I really feel that is the main cognition I'm taking from today's Vakyartha Sadhas. Thank you.
Rajananda Maharaj, you can go ahead. Please share your final takeaway from today's Vakyartha Sadhas.
Yes, Maharaj, thank you. So I learned that today a good thing that actually the Swamiji is actually taking us forward and he's actually setting the good example for how we can make Hinduism socially legitimate everywhere, in himself and by his way how he is reviving it. I was just had a thought that he sits in satsang and darshan and gives the darshans, and all he does is just sit there and smile. Nobody is in the world doing such a just happening in front of people and just giving their graceful smile. And if any random person comes and sees this, they'll just see that, and from there they can move to why is he smiling, what is the everything behind that. And so this is one of the things that clicked with me in today's Vakyartha Sadhas, that we don't have to wait out the whole Hinduism to go down. We have Swamiji, and he's leading us in the most beautiful way. So yes, thank you. This is it was a very nice, enriching session. Thank you.
Yes, Mullaya, please go ahead. Share your final takeaway from today's Vakyartha Sadhas.
Thank you, Maharaj. Actually, I should like to thank Shutoshana for his thing, because I would like to second him again. Like when we practice Hinduism at the personal level, and actually and also look to cause others reality, it will automatically infect everybody, and we'll understand how we'll let the Hindu atmosphere prevail already. So that's a very nice point which Ashutosh had shared, and I think I'll have to second that. And yeah, that's the main thing. Like that's the primary thing. I have to just second whatever he said. This actually is a very good foundation for us to understand what Hinduism will mean for generations to come from there on. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Ayya. Thank you so much, Nithya Rajananda Maharaj, Shri Nithya Ashutoshananda. Thank you all again so much for coming today, being a part of the Vakyartha Sadhas. It's always wonderful to have you all. And Vakyartha Sadhas is not just for us, and it is not just for our viewers. It is for the sake of building the Kailasa nation. And it is from that context Swamiji had started the Vakyartha Sadhas again, asked all of us to restart the Vakyartha Sadhas a couple of months back with the voting, on the topic of why vegetarian or non-vegetarian lifestyle. Swamiji had then said that having the Vakyartha Sadhas is important not just for ourselves to come to a deeper understanding, but it is also important for the sake of posterity, so that they will know the reasons why we chose what we chose. and they will be able to take better educated decisions from there on. So this Vakyartha, you participating in Vakyartha, be it here, be it anywhere else, it is directly contributing towards the growth of the Kailasa nation. So again, I'd like to thank all of you for coming today and being a part of today's Vakyartha. With this, it's time to enter into the meditation. Prepare ourselves to receive Swamiji for the Nitya Satsang. Please sit straight with your head, neck, and spine in a straight line. Close your eyes and bring your awareness into your Ananda Gandha. Visualize Swamiji sitting there in your Ananda Gandha as Paramashiva with the 25 heads and 50 hands. Now, allowing the Mahavakya mantra to reverberate throughout your entire body. Start chanting Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.